Welcome back to Coffee and Conversions. And today we are going off script because I want to talk about something that has been truly impactful for me in the month of April. This will be airing in May, but I wanted to record it while it was fresh. So I am a couple of days out from my retreat that I invested in through Female Founders. And that is where we are going to preface today. Welcome to Coffee and Conversions, the podcast for millennial moms building something meaningful alongside real life. We're talking web design, SEO, Pinterest, and organic marketing, the behind-the-scenes systems to help your business get seen without taking over your life. I'm Julie, the founder of PNW Designs. I'm a Minnesota mom working full-time in corporate America, actually in finance, while growing my business on the side. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that growth doesn't come along from doing more. It comes from doing what actually works. Most of my business ideas start with coffee, and this podcast is all about strategies that actually convert, hence Coffee and Conversions. It's not about hustle for the sake of hustle, and it's not about pretty things that don't perform. So grab your coffee, pop in your headphones, and let's get into today's episode. So, today on the podcast, I want to talk about female entrepreneurship communities and how they have impacted my business, my mindset, my friendships, all of the above. Little bit of a history. I actually belong to two different female entrepreneurship communities. The first one is the CEO Besties, and then the second one is Female Founders Twin Cities. So I will go through both of those, what they are, how they've impacted me, my thoughts on both of them, and again, kind of just like all the details. And I'm recording this on a Monday night post-retreat. Monday evenings are not necessarily my best time to record. However, I didn't get to it yesterday. And I wanted to get this off to my VA so that she can edit the podcast episode. So if you are sitting here listening to this and you run your own business and you have not found your own community, especially if you're a woman-owned business, this is my encouragement for you to do so. It doesn't have to be one of these communities. These are both great communities that I have found, but I encourage you to find your own community. Now, I have belonged to Female Founders Twin Cities since the beginning. It started a little over 2 years ago with my friend Brittany Habor, who runs Unlock Her Co. and soon to be the launch of the Unlock Institute. Sorry, Brittany, I can't remember the full name, but she will be certifying individuals on in subconscious reprogramming, which we will get to. And then the other co-founder of Female Founders Twin Cities is Nikki, and don't remember her last name. I do, but I can't pronounce it. And she is now the CEO and kind of the primary runner of Female Founders Twin Cities. She has over 10 years of marketing experience and has an amazing business mind. So between the two of them, they focus on all things small business, not just mindset, not just marketing. But certainly their narrowed in expertise is on both of those. Brittany has a million different certifications in subconscious reprogramming and somatics, and I'm sure a million other things that are all kind of in that mindset, mental health realm. Starting with going into Female Founders Twin Cities and what I found and this retreat, that's where I'm going to start, is that's what's a huge differentiator. And interestingly enough, it's also something that the founders of CEO Besties are certified in. But, Female Founders Twin Cities is a Minnesota-based female entrepreneurship community with monthly meetups. They cap the monthly meetups right now at 24 individuals, where we meet at Modern Well in St. Louis Park the second Wednesday, something like that, first Wednesday of every month. I don't make every month. I can't with my job, but I do make probably like one a quarter. And for me, it's always been like a nice way to just like connect with people in the room and talk to people who are also going through it. There is a ton of other web designers and female founders, Twin Cities. So I've developed some friendships and community conversations with some of those individuals. Um, but when you're only meeting 1 hour a month, you're not going like super in depth in their businesses and or in yourself, or 2 hours, but you know what I mean. They also have an online community called FFTC Connect that is free, and that is a circle community. I will say I'm not super active in it because of CEO Besties, which I'll get to. But I do use it for messaging and announcements and kind of like what's going on. Now, pre-retreat, I didn't have a ton of insights into like the in-depth work that they do. And obviously that has changed because I went on their 2 or 3 day, depending on how you would want to look at it, business retreat. Now, their retreat was at NatureLink, Minnesota, in Minnesota. I loved that place. Definitely want to get back. And we arrived Tuesday night and stayed until Friday morning. Now, the way that they structured the retreat, there was about 10 individuals there. No, more than that, a little more than that. And the first day, which was Wednesday, was all about that subconscious reprogramming work of coming up with your legacy. What is it that you want 1 to 5 years from now? What do you see as your vision for your life, for your business, and kind of just really working on the limiting beliefs that may halt you from getting those dreams. Now, there was a couple of things that, so that morning we worked a lot on like vision and parts integration, which is a subconscious reprogramming thing. And again, what is your legacy? What do you want to see in 1 to 5 years? And then the afternoon was somatic coaching. And how she did the somatic coaching was an individual would be in the front of the room and she would walk that person through somatic coaching. And then we would be witnessing that. And if you are an energy feeler, that was really hard for me because I am not one who feels emotions on an everyday basis. I can feel anxiety, but like other than that, I generally don't feel emotions. I know it's a problem. I'm working on it. I'll get to that. Anyway, I tend to not feel happy, but I also tend to not, I don't know. Like, I mean, today it's raining and it's gloomy and I'm a little like meh, but in general, like there's not a lot of highs or lows. It's just kind of like even. Now, whether that's my anxiety med or whether that's me being in fight or flight for the last 7 years, could be all of the above. But again, in general, I don't feel a ton of emotions. So when I was sitting through the somatic coaching, and I will preface all of this by saying if you are not someone who's experienced this is going to feel like woo-woo, I guess. But know that this is coming from like somebody who is generally skeptical of this work. So anyway, sitting in the room, I was sitting towards the front by the rest of like the coaching experience. I was one of the closest people to that. And the entire, like I'm even feeling it now, the entire time that was going on, which was a couple of hours, I felt like I couldn't breathe. When you like are anxious and like you just like can't breathe from your chest. That's how I felt the entire experience. So I did not go up front. At what point I even stepped out. My husband called, so I called him back, talked to my daughter, was able to breathe after I left the room. Like I said, I'm like feeling it now. But like, and the like thing that kept coming to me was like, I'm not ready. And I know like I have a lot of trauma around my high school years. Let's just leave it at that. And so that's where I was like, my head was going back to. And it's also interesting. A lot of people were talking about like going back to like their younger years, like 7 to 10 years old. And that's tends to be, there's some like studies about like, that's when your identity is formed. I am one who doesn't have memories from that age. I have very little memories between kindergarten to high school. And the memories that I do have are all school related. I do not have any memories from home. Do not have barely any memories from sports, even though I was in soccer and skiing that whole time. Nordic skiing, by the way, for those who don't know. But yeah, like I just don't have a lot of childhood memories. So day one, Wednesday, my favorite part after all of that, like somatic experience and the coaching, etc., was that evening they had us write down on stickers 4 limiting beliefs and then 4 like, I don't know, positive beliefs, I guess. I forget what the term they used, but non-limiting beliefs, right? Like, what do you see about yourself that you can believe? Kind of flipping the script, right? And the beauty of that was not only did you write the 4 for you on the positive and negative side of things, but then you also got to write 1 positive affirmation or how you see the other person for every person in the room. And then we went around, and as you wrote them, you would stick them on their sweatshirts or sweaters, because we all were wearing matching sweaters. Very cute. Instagram. And through that exercise, you know, things would write things that they see in you. And not only did I love writing it for other people, but I also loved seeing how other people see me, because that is a part of my kind of trauma from high school, little T trauma, as they say. So we did that, and then we burned our limiting beliefs, had a campfire, bonfire. It was great. There was a corporate retreat also at NatureLink when we were there who did not behave. So that was also very eye-opening for somebody who's also, like, I've been to corporate, not retreats, but like events, and people do not behave. And that also happened while we were there. And we're all like a bunch of women business owners, some of us probably making way more than these people in corporate, and they're just acting like idiots. It was very annoying. Anyway, so after Wednesday night, I woke up Thursday morning and I felt a little unclear on how Thursday was going to go, because to me, where I want my vision to go for my business and for my life, like the system part of me is like, it's just a math problem. It's like, this is the revenue I need to hit. This is the pricing I need in order to match my capacity with my revenue. And like, I don't really need to talk to other people about this, nor do I want to like talk about my finances in that detail with everyone. Went on a bike ride with a friend / somebody else who was on the retreat, and we talked through some like other things to think about. And I don't know, it was like a really good conversation that opened me up to the rest of the process. Had breakfast, and then we were starting to go around the room. And one of the questions they asked is like, what is one word about how you're feeling right now? And again, I know this is going to be woo-woo, but like I didn't cry the day before. A lot of other people did. I did not. Like I said, the only thing I really felt all the day before was like I couldn't breathe. And there was something in the room that was said by somebody else that I identified with, and that I immediately started bawling. And again, I'm not a crier. I probably cry once a year. And I immediately started bawling, and like kind of was just like trying to catch my breath and like, can we just move on here? Like, I hate the attention too. So I like shoved the emotions down, forced myself to stop crying so we could move on and get to like the tactical part, strategy day, which is what I was looking forward to and kind of planning out my business. Rest of the morning went okay. I went on to like strategizing goals and kind of how I'm going to get to my vision. More like individualized work. It wasn't a ton of group work. Had lunch, which was somewhat spicy. And I had some sugar too, like a greens juice, not like added sugar, but greens juice. And within the hour after lunch, I felt like crap. I haven't had issues like this from nutrition in a really long time. I do get them though, once in a while, but I felt like I had the stomach flu, basically, is the best way to put it. So I ended up having to skip out on the afternoon. I went back to my cabin and was suffering through stomach flu symptoms, basically. And I had still been kind of thinking about like the day before and the conversations from that morning, etc. And Brittany from Unlock Her Co, again, co-founder of Female Founders, um, knew that I hadn't done the somatic coaching the day before, knew that I was dealing with stuff from this morning. She's like, if you want to talk through things, just let me know and I'll come over to your cabin. So after I had settled down a little bit and like did some yoga, tried to breathe and like calm my body down, she came over and we didn't do any like specialized techniques. She has lots, like I've said, but she knows me enough to like just talk through things and help me open up about how I was feeling, about what I was suppressing, about what triggered me that morning. And I tell you, a 45-minute conversation, which is less than my normal therapy sessions, because my body was basically like, get these emotions out of me. Like I felt 100% better by the time I was done with the conversation with Brittany. To go from feeling like I have the stomach flu to 100% better within like 30 to 45 minutes of just a conversation. I mean, I was bawling during the conversation and like letting the emotions out, let me be clear. But like, if, as she said, and again, for those who are a Christian, you'll get this alignment, but as she said, she was like, God knows that you're really good at strategy and really good at the masterminding. And you would have been a great asset during that mastermind session. He's like, but that's also not what you needed because you weren't processing what was coming up for you and you were shoving it down. And everyone else like was very open about their feelings and like has done the work. And I was kind of one of those people like doesn't like doing the work, right? I like the strategy, the business side. I don't like the woo-woo side. And she's like, and God made you process. And it was exactly what I needed, but everything I didn't know I needed, if that makes sense. And this trip was way more to me than business. And it was not what I expected going in, but at the same time, like it really shows me how impactful the mindset work, the somatic work that they do inside of this community. The other thing I learned is they recently launched the Legacy Room. And so we all got talking about the Legacy Room and what it is and like what they do and how it's really meant to like not give homework. And the reason I bring this up is because both CEO Besties and Female Founders Twin Cities have virtual communities. And the Legacy Room has 3 calls a month, maybe 4, every Tuesday at noon. It's a very small community. It's currently less than 10 people, I believe. And the entire point is to get live coaching every single week on something for your business or for yourself. And so, for example, one of the recent calls that they had was, it's not just like, hey, here's what human design is, go take this quiz and figure it out yourself. It's, hey, here's your human design report. Let's walk through it and see how you adjust your own business or working with clients based on your human design. Or like sales strategy. It's not, here's how you do a sales funnel. It's pitch me your sales or do your sales pitch, right? And we will walk you through how to adjust it. So it is live coaching with no homework, as they say, every month or every week. So that it's not an added to do, but you are taking actionable steps within that hour every single week. So that's the Legacy Room within Female Founders. I am not currently a part of the Legacy Room in Female Founders because of scheduling conflicts. But after learning that, like I can absolutely see the value. So how Female Founders works is the way that their funnel works is their monthly meetups are kind of like the surface level, get introduced to the founders, get introduced to the room, get introduced to the community. FFTC Connect is going to be your big virtual community. Again, only Minnesota founders, where, again, you can network, you can ask questions, you can see what's going on, like from an events perspective. And then their real meat is the legacy room on these retreats. So the retreats are only once a year. I will probably be going back, even though I kind of now need to mentally prepare for all the work that has to be done during those retreats. And then the legacy room, that is, again, weekly, small community where you really get to know the founders in there and learn from the experts they bring in. So again, that's kind of the recap of the retreat. It was extremely valuable. It was something where I just felt like, I don't know, like a warm hug with strategy is kind of how I would describe it. It was amazingly curated. Food was great. Hosts, Brittany and them, were great. I just can't say enough positive things about that trip. I was nervous going in, and it exceeded all of my expectations. The other community that I have found that's extremely important to me is CEO Besties. Now, CEO Besties I actually got connected with them through a tag on Threads, which is kind of nuts, but that is what it is. And that is, so the CEO Besties is a community based out of what I'm going to call Manhattan Beach, California, Los Angeles. Founded by two, again, women-owned businesses, Natalie and Emily. Both of them have certifications in subconscious reprogramming and coaching. And they do not have monthly meetups in, like, as a low ticket offer. Where I belong is their virtual membership. So the virtual membership is also a circle community, similar to the Female Founders. And I have been in touch with them for about a year. I've done parts of their website. I've done parts of both of their, like, OG websites, Natalie and Emily's websites. I've helped them, be found on AI, for example, etc. And the way that their virtual community works, which I will talk the majority about because I am not in their mastermind. Right now, their mastermind is only in person. And I do not live in LA. So I am not in their mastermind, but I am in, obviously, their virtual community, which is open to anyone. And we have people from all over the world, from London, from Panama to Spain, to obviously a ton in California, little me in Minnesota. So there's people all over, all women-owned businesses, all founders who are trying to scale, grow their businesses, and mom at the same time. For the most part, again, being a mom is not a requirement, but just that's the nature of who's in the community. Now, that community, so they, like I said, they do have a mastermind. I'm not going to talk about their in-person mastermind. But their virtual community is weekly on Tuesdays at noon. Hence why I have a scheduling conflict, because the Legacy Room is also weekly on Tuesdays at noon. CEO Besties, I joined them in January when their community launched as their SEO and Pinterest strategist. So I am a strategic partner within the community, or whatever you want to call it. I have a dedicated channel to answer questions on SEO and Pinterest. And what I have loved about this community is, because it is a virtual membership, so unlike the meetups at Female Founders where, like, the people in the room constantly change. So yes, you will notice or develop relationships with some people. There are always new people, which can be great, but it also can be like, it's hard to develop long-term relationships with people when they're changing, right? Or they may not be back every week or every month. With CEO Besties, because it's a virtual membership, like, you're paying to be a part of this membership. So I really get to know the people in the membership and on the calls. We do intros every call. We get to talk about our problems, and we do hot seat coaching where somebody brings a problem, right? And we can all talk about like, here's how I would approach it. So every month they do some sort of expert masterclass, monthly hot seat coaching, and then some other topic. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But I think the difference between like the master classes with CEO Besties and the legacy room, again, from my eyes and my opinion, is thus far, it's been like master classes where you then like take homework home. And there ends up not being a ton of time for like on in-depth coaching or integration during that hour call. And so some of them I've felt overwhelmed. Some of them I haven't listened to yet. But either way, like the value you get for their community, right now, they still have founders pricing. So as at the time of this, their founders pricing for the virtual community is still only $500 a year or $97 a month. And at $500 a year, like it's a no-brainer to me. Because A, you get to network with a bunch of other amazing business owners, but B, you get those master classes, that hot seat coaching with Emily and Natalie and other people in the community and in the Circle community. Their Circle community is not free. That is a part of that virtual membership. It is a little bit more active. But again, it's not free. It's a part of that community. So there's like, again, they're each independently running their own businesses. So they've each decided to run things their own way. And I can see value in both. But where the huge kind of like why I said this is so impactful for me in April is, so I've been a part of their virtual membership since January. I happened to have a work trip that had to go to LA in April. And with that, I messaged Emily and Natalie and asked to meet them. Because like I said, I've been like working with them for over a year. And we were able to do a dinner when I was in town. And I got to meet everyone. Ton of people I'd talked to, ton of people I've already worked with, ton of people I might work with. And I just like immediately fit. And as somebody who never felt seen or like I fit in or that people liked me, for most of my adolescence, if not all of my adolescence, to find two communities where I feel like people see me, sorry, that makes me uncomfy, but you know what I mean? Like where I feel like I fit in, it just is so helpful. Not just for business, right? For having women friends and having people outside of my family and having people who understand business lingo and having people who think differently. I think the other thing that's been so fun about having two communities is like, and I said this when I was around the campfire at Female Founders, is like, I feel like the mindsets between women in the Midwest and women in California are different. And so I get exposure to both. And it's kind of fun to like be able to fit in both places, but also feel like I can see myself in some of these women. And I don't feel so alone when I think about my ambition. And I don't feel so alone when I think about my goals. So honestly, if you are looking for a community, if you are not in Minnesota, I would look at theceobesties.com, their virtual community. I'd love to see you in there. Again, it's under the membership on their menu bar. And if you are in Minnesota and have not checked out Female Founders, I encourage you to do so. And I'd love to see you at a meetup. However, I know they're going to need to expand them because they're already almost sold out for the year. Or join FTC Connect. But if you're listening to this and like haven't found your own community, this is your message to do so, because it will and has absolutely impacted my business, not only from a networking perspective, but from a mindset perspective. I mean, the retreat taught me that so much, but even the dinner with CEO Besties, like just feeling like I belonged and was welcomed in with open arms. It just means everything to me. So to Emily, Natalie, Nikki, Brittany, thank you for creating these communities. And if you are listening to this, go check them out. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Coffee and Conversions. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate every single person who listens. If this episode helped you think differently about your business, I'd love if you left a rating and review or shared it with a friend who is running a business alongside you, because community is everything. It's the easiest way to help this podcast reach more women who want a strategy that actually works. You can find links, resources, and anything mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. For more tools, resources, and behind-the-scenes strategy, head over to buypwdesigns.com. And if you want to peek into my real life, corporate job, mom life, running a business, and really just like the true me, you can find me at Instagram over at julie.pwdesigns, and I hang out there most days. Until next time, keep on building intentionally, and I will see you back here at Coffee and Conversions.